So the first item I wanted to talk about is the idea of procedure templates. Neve mentioned earlier that there's going to be some work coming up to get this function into Gen 2. I want to show for the Genie customers that are on call what procedure templates are, if you aren't already. This is especially fantastic when it comes to orthopedic practices. It's because if you do a procedure that might have the same name, same item numbers, same operation notes, and maybe some extra fields that you're filling out in the procedure window, by using a procedure template, it saves the repetitive need to re-enter a lot of this information manually. So to create a procedure template, we first need to create a brand new procedure. In the procedure name, we type in the name of the procedure we wish to perform. I can add this to the menu. And what this means is that it comes up as an available option in a drop-down every time you do a procedure. So if I now just go back to the procedure window and I remove my name of my procedure, this is the add to menu function. So you can store your favorite procedure names there. Next, I want to talk about this idea of a procedure template. So in addition to the procedure name, there might be some other information you're filling out consistently. For instance, pre-operation diagnosis, post-operation diagnosis. The indication, pre-op notes. In the quotes tab, if this procedure has the same item numbers every time, you should add them to this procedure template. In the op notes tab, you might have the same information you're repeatedly putting in as well for this particular procedure, including the findings, the technique, and the post-op. If I click Save Template and give this a name, next, I'm going to show you how you would use a procedure template. So we make a brand new procedure for a patient. Once we have our new procedure window open, we click the Load Template button at the bottom. We can choose a procedure template. What has appeared is the procedure name and some of the other information that I previously showed you from the different tabs. Now, a common question I get when it comes to procedure templates, especially when it comes to orthopedics, it might be that you're commonly doing 99% of the procedure the same, but you might have one word that is different in findings, or maybe technique, you might be putting in a different measurement every single time. What I recommend for those practices is put in the bulk of the information of what remains the same every time you do a certain procedure. And then when it comes to doing your reporting the procedure through the findings, technique, or post-op, you go through and you just change what words were different or what measurement was different. So if you're not using procedure templates already in our Genie program, I strongly recommend that you start incorporating this as part of your workflow. Another tool I like to show for orthopedic surgeons and practices that are using Genie is our tool that we call Custom Forms. What it's designed for is where you've got a background image that you commonly put text in on the top of it. Commonly, this is hospital admission and consent forms. By loading this into Genie, it serves two functions. One, it saves you time every time you need to do one of these forms because the information is pre-filled for you. Two, you could save this in the clinical record of the patient. And what that means is if you ever need to reprint a copy, you can safely go to the clinical file of the patient and reprint a copy rather than having to generate that document again from scratch. So I'm going to first show you how you can download pre-filled forms from our servers. So in the appointment diary, if I go to my special menu, then software updates, there's a forms tab here. And in this form tabs, there are different categories. I'm going to expand admission, and you can see how many hospitals' admission forms are available in this list. Expand consent. Again, many hospitals have got different consent forms. I'm going to tick an example hospital, being the Greenslopes Hospital, and choose import at the bottom right and save. This then saves that particular template into your Genie database ready for use. But as you can see, there's actually other categories that you may want to look at as well to try and find a template. To use a template, we select our patient, the gold pages icon, and we can see here's our Greenslopes consent form. Here is the demographic and procedure information pre-filled on the hospital paperwork. So you can see that there's significant benefits as part of using custom forms. I'm just going to make one call out that at the top, there's a button that I haven't got ticked here, but a save copy and clinical record. If you wanted to use that function I mentioned earlier, where when you print this form out, it saves a copy and clinical record as well, you just need to make sure that button is ticked. If you have your own form that's not available through our special menu, I recommend you go to our knowledge base and look up custom forms. There's information there how you can bring in your own background image, or maybe one that's been supplied to you from an external source, and how you can overlay that text on the top yourself. So custom forms is a fantastic tool for orthopedic surgeons because it's designed to save you a lot of time manually filling out these forms. Now, in my experience, orthopedic surgeons, and it is rare that you need to do a prescription, but I know from my own experience when it comes to training orthopedic surgeons that often there's a preference for just handwriting the prescription because they find that trying to type it into Genie is a little bit too time consuming. So for those practices who want to use prescribing in Genie, there's a tool called QuickScripts. And the idea behind this is with 2 clicks of a mouse, your favorite prescription with your dose frequency and instructions,